past that you feel that Bob is in the prime of his career. You said he's found balance in his game. What is different about him now compared to what you remember about him, your impressions of him a few years ago when he was playing with Columbus?
I don't know that I can go that far back, to be fair. The only reason I kind of feel confident speaking about him is that you see him every day, so you get that consistency, and that's where all of this starts. I think we've been pretty good over the last 2.5 years of becoming predictable in front of him. And then when you get a guy who's got a whole lot of experience under his belt, he's just seen a lot of things, he will predict things faster. So we allow Sergei to read the game pretty darn well. And then his attention to detail in his own personal preparation means that he's going to be right and on most nights, and that gives him a chance to be as good as he is.
How does the preparation kind of influence and affect others around him just from seeing the way he prepares?
Oh, for sure. I was walking out of the morning skate early on here, and he was doing some sort of Olympic lifting, and I walked back in to grab our goalie coach because I was sure he didn't know he was playing tonight, but no, that's his routine. I think he's always kind of searching for ways to get better and ways to improve, and I think that's the original drive to be great is there in him, and it hasn't changed as he's gotten older. He hasn't gotten set in his ways where he said, well, I'm at this point in my career, I've had some success, I'm just going to stay with exactly what I'm doing. He's pushing those boundaries, and everybody sees it because he's here early in, stays late, you walk by him, and he's constantly prepping for the game. So those kind of good pros, those veteran guys are great for all of our younger players, and pretty much everybody's a younger player for the most part. So it's just having a good pro in your room. Great leadership, great quiet leadership.
With you guys losing 3 of the past 4, was it beneficial to go home and just get a couple days at home in the middle of a road trip?
No. George, in my career, I don't think I've ever had 3 days off at home in the middle of a road trip. So I don't know. Maybe it's a better answer to you. It is an unusual anomaly. I'm not feeling that we needed to go home after losing 3 and 4. I think post the Toronto game, you'd be feeling pretty good about where your game's at for about 2.5 months. We really didn't like our game in Montreal. I think that has to be that. I think that story is a part of every NHL team's story. And then we got beaten the third period again on back-to-back nights. That happened to us in LA. So we've seen what's happened. We know what's happening, and we win or we study, and that's basically where we're at.
Yeah, looking at tonight, you've got Columbus, obviously a desperate team, have only won 1 time since that outdoor game, which feels like a month ago.
I think their analytics are pretty good. They were very, very strong in their last game. I think those outdoor games at times can shift the focus a little bit. They're a wonderful, wonderful event for sure. But in all of these, I mean, you think of the teams that are fighting for their playoffs, and you go back to us 2 years ago. We lost 4 straight toward the end of, I think, March, and the world had come to an end, and then found a way to play pretty darn well on the way out of that. So where they've been and where we've been over the last year will have nothing to do. This is a fresh start for both teams tonight.
Mac and Benny have been nearly a point per game since 4 Nations. What's been working with them that you've seen?
I think he went into the 4 Nations having done a lot of really good work and was starting to feel that it was going to happen for him. I thought for 7 or 8 games prior to his scoring starting, it was close. So he was getting chances, he just weren't getting it off his stick, and there's always that you wonder, is it there? Like, you think it's there. The hands are incredible and all the things, and he's going to score. You're sure of it, and then he gets 7 or 8 in a row where it's not going for him, and he's still a young player. And then it just started. Sam Bennett's been a fantastic mentor for the young man about when to make plays, when not to. So there's a confidence in his game now, and you'll find, and he will find for over the entire career, it's kind of a constant search for that confidence. He feels good, and then it goes away from you. And what do you do when you're not scoring? We feel he built that answer in the first part of his season. He played on the 4th line, then he moved to the 3rd line. And he built all the hard parts in the game. So when Samuel's not scoring, he should look like he did in the front half of the year, where he's not scoring, he's just banging, he's just running his routes, he's doing the basics of the game. And then these guys get hot a little bit, and they keep going.
We have lineup changes tonight.
Done.
Bob and Nat.
Correct.
Seth Jones, obviously playing a new style, first time in his career, but
Yeah.
how do you think, and more minutes than probably you thought he'd play, how do you think he's fit into this whole thing in the few weeks he's been here?
Yeah, I thought he really did a good job coming in and not trying to show everybody how skilled he was, which is almost always what those guys do. And then built on it up into. If you had asked me how I felt about everybody's game after Toronto and the 3 weeks prior to that, I'd be pretty good where we're at. And then the last two, I don't think we were as good, and he would be part of that. This guy's a good player, and he's going to get better. I think he's still got room to improve his game. It's just this is not going to happen overnight. We play again a completely different game that he's been playing for 5 or 6 years. So it's all there. I think he's got a very bright future with him. He's a good one.
I know it's kind of enforced, but is it good for him to get? It's going to be a lot of playing time with Forsling that maybe he would not have gotten.
I would still prefer to have his minutes down, not in terms of resting him, because then we can drive harder in those minutes. You do have to manage your ice at 25, 26 minutes for sure. So, but he's going to get more reps in our game because he's playing an awful lot more. And that's a really important thing too. He just sees the reads more and more and gaps and knows what we're trying to do. So him playing, it's probably 6 of one, half dozen of the other. We'd like to drive his pace higher on shorter minutes, but the other side of that would be he's going to get an awful lot of reads and reps in the game that we play when he's learning.